We live in a world of garbage technology where your phone can die in less than 2 years. But we found a secret society of motorcycles that hit 500,000 miles and ask for more. These aren't just bikes. They are mathematical anomalies built from corporate shame. We have identified the 14 immortals. These engines won't just run forever. They will outlive you. From courier legends to unkillable tractors, we are cracking the code of immortality. Do not buy a bike until you see this list. Number 14, the 183 2-flat-6. We begin with the king of high mileage. The Honda Goldwing isn't just a motorcycle. It is a two-wheeled Honda Civic that corners. There is a documented courier in the United States who put 1 million miles on a Goldwing engine. He didn't do it by babying it, he did it by riding it every single day for decades. It features a massive 1,832 cubic centimeter flat-6 engine. This layout is the secret. Because the cylinders oppose each other, they cancel out their own vibrations. It is perfectly balanced. It makes 118 horsepower and 123 foot-pounds of torque. It is a lazy engine. At 70 miles per hour, it is barely awake, spinning at 2,000 RPM. Low stress means long life. It is the couch commander. The ergonomics are definitive. You sit in a deep bucket seat that is more comfortable than your office chair. The handlebars come back to meet you. The fairing creates a bubble of silence so effective, you can listen to a podcast at 80 miles per hour. It is heavy, weighing over 900 pounds, but the reverse gear saves you in parking lots. This is the Continental Crusher. It is perfect for the rider who wants to see all 48 contiguous states in one summer. It eats interstates for breakfast. Al from South Carolina says he rode his wing until the odometer stopped working, fixed it, and rode it some more. He changed the oil, adjusted the valves occasionally, and replaced tires. The engine never came apart. The risk is the alternator. On older models, they can fail, leaving you stranded, and changing the rear tire is a wrestling match. You can find high-mileage examples for $5,000, but a fresh used one is typically $10,000 to $15,000. If the Goldwing is a luxury yacht, our next bike is a tugboat. It is ugly, utilitarian, and absolutely unkillable. Number 13, the Suzuki 645 V-Twin. This bike uses the legendary SV650 engine, a 90-degree V-twin that Suzuki has been perfecting since 1999. It features a 645 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled V-twin. It makes roughly 66 horsepower. It uses gears to drive the cams instead of long chains that stretch. The cylinders are plated with Suzuki's SCEM composite material, which is essentially race-tech durability in a budget commuter. It is impossible to overheat this engine unless you drain the coolant and ride into a volcano. The ergonomics are pure utility. It sits tall and upright. The handlebars are wide and neutral. The seat is a flat bench that accommodates riders from 5'8" to 6'2". It isn't sexy, but it works. You have great visibility over traffic. This is the cockroach of commuting. It is perfect for the rider who treats a motorcycle like a tool. Rain, snow, gravel, or highway, the V-Strom does it all without complaining. Couriers in London regularly push these over 200,000 miles. Courier Dave writes that he bought a V-Strom with 50,000 miles. He put another 100,000 on it delivering medical supplies. The only thing that broke was the stator. The engine still has factory compression. The risk is the stator magnets. They can come loose on high-mileage bikes. Check the charging voltage before you buy. Dealers sell these used for $3,000 to $5,000. It is the best value in motorcycling. Quick pause. We just showed you a bike you can buy for $3,000 that will last forever. If you like saving money on bulletproof machines, destroy that like button. It helps us find more deals for you. But what if you don't want a V-twin? What if you want a bike that is so smooth you can balance a coin on the engine while it's running? The Germans have the answer. Number 12, the BMW 740 Inline 3. They call this bike the flying brick. In the 1980s, BMW wanted to build a modern liquid-cooled engine. They took a Peugeot car engine, chopped it in half, laid it on its side, and created a legend. It features a 740 cubic centimeter inline 3-cylinder engine. The cylinders lay flat, parallel to the ground. This lowers the center of gravity, but the magic is the balance. Inline 3s usually vibrate. BMW installed a counter-rotating balance shaft that makes this engine smoother than an electric motor. You can balance a nickel on the engine case while it's running, and it won't fall over. It makes 75 horsepower and lasts forever because the pistons wear evenly on the Nikasil liners. The ergonomics are classic sport touring. It has a slightly forward lean, but it is comfortable. The seat is narrow at the tank, allowing you to grip the bike. The fairing on the S and RT models is wind tunnel tested. It feels substantial, German, and solid. This is the hipster's forever bike. It is perfect for someone who wants a vintage bike that actually starts every morning. It has a cult following because it refuses to break. Brick Bob says his K75 has 300,000 miles. The odometer broke twice, but the engine hums. He claims it is smoother than his brand new R1250 GS. The risk is the drive shaft splines. They need to be greased every 20,000 miles. If the previous owner ignored this, the drive shaft destroys itself. You can find clean examples for $3,000 to $4,500. Just so you know, in the 90s, Honda wanted to build a bike for the European police. They needed something fast enough to catch Porsches, but reliable enough to idle for hours at a crime scene. And they came up with something crazy. Number 11. The Honda Longitudinal V4. It features a 1,085 cubic centimeter V4 engine mounted longitudinally. This is a weird layout, but it allows for a shaft drive without a power-robbing 90-degree bevel gear. It uses a timing belt instead of a chain. This belt must be changed every 90,000 miles, but it makes the engine silent. It makes 100 horsepower and pulls like a freight train. It is a police interceptor. The riding position is commanding. You sit upright behind a massive fuel tank that holds nearly 7.5 gallons. You can ride for 300 miles without stopping. The fairing includes tip-over wings that protect the engine if you drop it. This is the marathon runner. It is perfect for the rider who thinks a 500-mile day as is a short ride. Police forces in the UK used these until they literally fell apart from rust, but the engines were still running. Officer Smith writes that his fleet bike had 180,000 miles when it was retired. He bought it at auction and rode it for another 5 years. It leaks a little oil, but it never stops. The risk is the swing arm rust. In wet climates, the steel swing arm rots from the inside out. Check it with a hammer before buying. Prices are laughable. You can buy a running one for $2,500. However, if you want to join the Iron Butt Association, riders who do 1,000 miles in 24 hours, the next bike is the default choice. Number 10. The Yamaha 1298 Inline 4. The Yamaha FJR 1300 is a cruise missile built for endurance. It features a 1,298 cubic centimeter inline 4. It makes 145 horsepower. It uses massive pistons and a shaft drive that is over-engineered for the torque. Yamaha built this engine with plated cylinders and a low-friction valve train. It is tuned for torque, so you rarely have to rev it past 5,000 RPM, which extends the life of the rings and bearings. The ergonomics are sport first. It is comfortable, but you feel the connection to the front wheel. The seat height is adjustable. The handlebars are adjustable. It fits everyone. The electric windshield allows you to go from sport mode to touring bubble in seconds. This is the cross-country record setter. It is perfect for the guy who wants to get from New York to Los Angeles in 2 days. It is fast, stable, and boringly reliable. Iron Butt Ian says he has done 4 rallies on his FJR. He has 150,000 miles on the clock. He has only changed the oil and the final drive fluid. He calls it the turbine because of the sound. The risk is the rear subframe on early models. If you overload the top box, it can crack. And the 6-speed transmission on later models is complex, though reliable. You can find early models for $4,000 and newer ones for $10,000. We've seen Japanese precision, but what about American iron? In the 80s, Harley-Davidson was on the ropes. To survive, they had to build an engine that didn't just leak oil, it had to save the company. Number 9, the Harley-Davidson Evolution V-Twin. In 1986, Harley-Davidson was in trouble. They needed an engine that didn't leak oil and didn't explode. They poured millions into the Evolution engine, and they accidentally built one of the most durable engines in history. It features an 883 or 1,200 cubic centimeter air-cooled V-twin. It uses push rods and hydraulic lifters. This means zero valve adjustments. But the secret is the cams. It uses 4 separate gear-driven cams. Gears don't stretch, gears don't break. This engine is a tractor in the best way possible. It is made of aluminum, so it sheds heat better than the old iron engines. It is raw and mechanical. The bike shakes at idle, but smooths out at speed. The ergonomics are cramped on the stock bike, but it is a Harley. You can change the seat, bars, and pegs in 10 minutes. It is a blank canvas. This is the Anvil. It is perfect for the rider who wants a bike they can fix with a hammer and a wrench. It is simple, honest, and unkillable. There are Sportsters with 200,000 miles that have never had the heads off. Harley Dave writes that he tried to kill his Sportster. He rode it without oil for 20 miles. He let it overheat in Daytona traffic. It refuses to die. It just gets louder. The risk is the clutch pack. The spring plate in the clutch can explode on high-mileage bikes. Replace it with an aftermarket plate, and the bike will run forever. You can find solid Evo Sportsters for $3,500 to $5,000. We are about halfway through the list of immortals. If you think Harley only makes bikes that leak oil, think again. But if you want a bike that is literally half a car, stay tuned for the next one. Number 8, the Honda 745 Parallel Twin. Some people call this bike boring. We call it a masterpiece of pragmatism. Honda looked at their automotive division, took the engine from the Honda Fit Jazz, cut it in half, and put it in a motorcycle frame. It features a 745 cubic centimeter parallel twin. It makes only 58 horsepower. It hits the red line at 6,500 RPM. This is incredibly low for a motorcycle. Most bikes rev to 10,000. By keeping the revs low, Honda reduced the piston speed and friction by half. The engine is barely working. It gets 80 miles per gallon. The ergonomics are pure commuter. You sit upright. The center of gravity is incredibly low because the cylinders are tilted forward almost flat. And the best part? The gas tank is under the seat. Where the gas tank usually is, there is a trunk that fits a full-face helmet. This is the ultimate city tool. It is perfect for the courier or the commuter who wants to save money. It is an appliance. It will start every time, carry your groceries, and cost pennies to run. Frugal Fred says he has put 90,000 miles on his NC. He has never adjusted the valves because they were always in spec. He changes the oil every 8,000 miles. He treats it like a lawnmower, and it runs like a Swiss watch. The risk is boredom. You might sell it because you fall asleep riding it. Mechanically, it is flawless. You can buy these used for $4,000 to $6,000. Kawasaki decided to build a touring bike, but they didn't have a touring engine. So they went to the sport bike department and stole the engine from the ZX14, the fastest motorcycle in the world at the time. Number 7, the Kawasaki 1352 with VVT. This bike features a 1,352 cubic centimeter inline-4. It makes 155 horsepower. It features variable valve timing, VVT, a rarity on bikes. This allows it to have massive low-end torque for touring and screaming top-end power for passing. The engine is overbuilt because it was designed to handle 200 horsepower in the ZX14. In the concourse, it is detuned, meaning it is understressed. The ergonomics are jet fighter comfort. It is big and wide. The fairing is massive. It has a keyless ignition system called Capac, which can be annoying. It eats miles at triple-digit speeds without breaking a sweat. This is the interstate missile. It is perfect for the rider who wants to cross the country but is always running late. It is fast, stable, and reliable. Speedy Steve writes that he uses his concourse for long-distance rallies. He has 120,000 miles. The valves rarely need adjustment. The shaft drive is bulletproof. He calls it the bullet train. The risk is the tire pressure sensors. The batteries die and they are expensive to replace. And the Kai-Pass key fob can lose programming if the battery dies. You can find these for $5,000 to $7,000. That is cheap horsepower. In 1996, Suzuki did something brilliant. They had a bunch of leftover engines from the legendary GSXR 1100. They bored them out, tuned them for torque, and shoved them into a simple steel frame. A bandit was born. Number 6. The Suzuki 1157 Sax Inline 4. It features a 1,157 cubic centimeter air and oil-cooled inline 4. This is the famous Sax, Suzuki Advanced Cooling System engine. It uses massive amounts of oil to cool the pistons. It has no radiator to leak. It has screw and lock nut valve adjusters, meaning you can tune the engine with a wrench and a screwdriver in your driveway. It is crude, rude, and invincible. The ergonomics are old-school muscle. You sit in the bike, not on it. The handlebars are standard tubes. The seat is thick. It vibrates a bit, but it feels powerful. It wheelies on command. This is the Hooligan's tank. It is perfect for the rider who wants to do burnouts and wheelies but needs the bike to start for work on Monday. It is a favorite of stunt riders because you can drop it, crash it, and redline it, and it won't blow up. Stuntman Sam says he has a Bandit with 80,000 hard miles. It smokes a little on startup, but it still makes full power. He calls it the unkillable beast. The risk is oil consumption. The older air-cooled engines tend to burn a little oil. Check the level every week. These are dirt cheap. You can find running examples for $2,500. The Bandit is a Hooligan, but our next bike is a soldier. When Yamaha decided to go to war with the BMW GS, they didn't bring a knife. They brought a tank. Number 5. The Yamaha 1199 Crossplane Twin. When Yamaha decided to fight the BMW GS, they didn't try to be fancier. They tried to be tougher. The Super Tenere is built like a farm tractor. It features a 1,199 cubic centimeter parallel twin. It uses a 270-degree crank for traction. It is shaft-driven. The electronics are simple compared to the Europeans. The engine is physically massive and understressed. It was designed to run on bad fuel in the middle of nowhere. The ergonomics are global traveler. You sit high and commanding. The standing position is excellent for off-road. It is heavy, but it carries the weight low. It feels substantial, safe, and ready for war. This is the Apocalypse bike. It is perfect for the rider who wants to go to Alaska or Patagonia and doesn't want to deal with complex electronic suspension failures. Nick Sanders, the famous world traveler, rode one of these around the world multiple times. He put 50,000 miles on one in a few months. Desert Dan writes that he has taken his Super Tenere through rivers that drowned his buddy's KTM. He drained the airbox, hit the starter, and it fired right up. It is built to survive. The risk is the cam chain tensioner on early models. It can rattle. Swap it for the updated part, and the engine is solid. You can find used ones for $6,000 to $8,000. The Tenere is tough, but it's not fast. Honda wanted both. They wanted to build a bike that could break the speed limit in every country on Earth and never break down. Number 4. The Honda 1137 Dual Balanced 4. In 1996, Honda wanted to build the fastest production motorcycle in the world to beat Kawasaki. They built the Blackbird. It was named after the SPI plane, and it was engineered with the same level of precision. It features a 1,137 cubic centimeter inline 4. It makes 164 horsepower, but the secret is the smoothness. Honda installed dual counterbalancer shafts. This engine is smoother at 150 miles per hour than a Harley is at idle. It is overbuilt to handle extreme speeds, so when you ride it at normal speeds, it is barely trying. The ergonomics are sport touring perfection. You are leaned forward but not crushed. The fairing is aerodynamic magic. It parts the air so cleanly you don't feel the speed. It is a heavy bike, but it is stable as a rock. This is the gentleman's hyperbike. It is perfect for the rider who appreciates build quality. The paint is deep. The panel gaps are tight. It feels like a Swiss watch. Blackbird Brian says his bike has 130,000 miles. He replaced the cam chain tensioner and the regulator on rectifier. That's it. The engine has never been opened. The risk is the charging system. The regulator Shoei rectifier is a known weak point on 90s Hondas. Upgrade it to a modern MOSFET unit immediately. These are becoming collector items, but you can still find them for $4,000 to $6,000. We are down to the final three. The bikes that define durability. One traveled around the world with Ewan McGregor, one served in the US Marine Corps, and one was built out of pure corporate shame. Number 3. The BMW 1130 Oilhead Boxer. Before the liquid-cooled GS took over the world, there was the Oilhead. The R1150 GS is the bike Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman rode in, Long Way Round. It is a mechanical tank. It features a 1,130 cubic centimeter boxer twin. It is air and oil cooled. The cylinders stick out the sides into the wind. It makes 85 horsepower. It is not fast, but it is torquey. The valve train is simple. The shaft drive is robust. The ergonomics are legendary. It invented the modern adventure riding position. Upright, wide bars, comfortable seat. It is tall and heavy, but once it is moving, the low center of gravity makes it handle beautifully. This is the World Explorer. It is perfect for the rider who wants a bike that can be fixed in a village in Mongolia. There are almost no electronics to fail. A guy named Hank has an R1100 GS, the predecessor, with over 400,000 miles on the original engine. Adventure Adam writes that his 1150 has crossed Africa. He dropped it 50 times. He broke the subframe and welded it back together. The engine never missed a beat. The risk is the clutch slave cylinder and the final drive bearing. These are known wear items. Carry a spare bearing if you go global. You can find these legends for $4,000 to $6,000. If there is a thermonuclear war, only two things will survive the fallout: radioactive cockroaches and our next motorcycle. The Marines trust it with their lives. Number 2. The Kawasaki 651 single. If there is a thermonuclear war, only two things will survive the fallout: radioactive cockroaches and the Kawasaki KLR 650. This machine is a prehistoric beast. It remained virtually unchanged from 1977 to 2007. Why? Because you don't fix what isn't broken. It is so tough, so reliable, and so uncomplicated that the US Marine Corps bought them in bulk. They modified them to run on diesel and jet fuel, the M1030M1, and deployed them into combat zones where lesser bikes would have disintegrated. It features a 651 cubic centimeter single-cylinder engine. It is water-cooled, but barely needs to be. It makes 35 horsepower on a good day with a tailwind. It is crude. It is ancient. It uses a carburetor when everyone else uses fuel injection. It refuses to die. However, it has one fatal flaw: a massive timing chain tensioner lever known as the doohickey. This factory part is weak and can fail. But once you spend $40 to replace it with a billet aftermarket part, the engine becomes literally indestructible. The ergonomics are purely tractor-like. The seat is soft but narrow like an 80s sofa. The handlebars are high and wide. It has a massive 6-gallon gas tank that gives you a 300-mile range between stops. It feels agricultural. It rattles. It shakes your teeth. It dives under braking like a submarine. But it always moves forward. It does not care about comfort. It cares about survival. This is the survivalist's choice. It is perfect for the rider who has zero mechanical sympathy. You can fix it with a rock and a Swiss Army knife. You can run it on terrible gas found in a bucket in the desert. You can drown it in a river, drag it out, kick it, and it will start. KLR Ken says he bought his for $2,000. He has ridden it to Alaska and back. He changes the oil whenever he remembers, sometimes every 5,000 miles, sometimes never. It burns a little oil, but it never stops running. The only risk is ignoring the doohickey. If that lever breaks, it's game over. But fix it and you have a tank. You can find these for $3,000 all day long. The KLR is crude, but our number one pick is a piece of jewelry. It exists because of one of the biggest engineering failures in history, and it became the greatest apology ever built. Number 1. The Honda 748 gear-driven V4. This bike exists because of pure shame. In the early 1980s, Honda released the VF750, and it was a complete catastrophe. The camshafts disintegrated so fast they were nicknamed chocolate cams by furious owners. Honda's legendary reputation for bulletproof reliability was shattered. The executives in Japan were humiliated. So for the next generation, the VEFR 750, they issued a decree. Build an engine that absolutely cannot fail. They decided to over-engineer this machine so drastically that it would stand as an apology to the world. It features a 748 cubic centimeter V4 engine. But here's the secret sauce: gear-driven cams. Almost every other motorcycle uses a cam chain to spin the valves. Chains stretch, chains break, chains rattle. Honda said no. Instead, they used a cascade of precision gears to spin the camshafts. This is technology usually reserved for Formula One cars. It makes a distinct, addictive, whining sound, like a supercharger spooling up. It is mechanical music. The pistons, connecting rods, and bearings were built to race tolerances. When you take one of these engines apart at 50,000 miles, the internals often look brand new. The ergonomics are sport classic perfection. It sits in that sweet spot that modern bikes have forgotten. It is comfortable enough to tour across the country with saddlebags, but sporty enough to drag a knee at a track day. The build quality is arguably the best Honda has ever produced. The paint is deep and lustrous. The single-sided swing arm is exotic. The aluminum frame is a work of art. This is the engineering marvel. It is perfect for the connoisseur who appreciates mechanical perfection over raw horsepower. It is a bike built without a budget limit, designed solely to restore Honda's honor. VFR Victor writes that he has 100,000 miles on his 1994 model. He checks the valves every 20,000 miles, and they never move. They are always perfectly in spec. He says it will run forever. The only risk is the regulator rectifier, a common gremlin on 90s Hondas that cooks batteries. Swap it for a modern unit, and the bike is flawless. However, be warned, the bodywork is becoming hard to find if you crash. You can find these gems for $3,000 to $5,000. It is the best-sounding, best-built engine on this list, and perhaps the greatest street engine ever made. And there you have it. The number one engine that proves revenge is a dish best served reliable. There you have it. 14 machines that defy the laws of planned obsolescence. These engines were built in an era when engineers ran the company, not accountants. Whether it's the million-mile Goldwing, the indestructible KLR, or the shame-built VFR, owning one of these is like owning a piece of history that you can ride every day. Which of these immortals would you trust to take you around the world? Are you Team Honda or Team BMW? Tell me in the comments below. And if you want to see bikes that everyone loves, check out our next video. Don't forget to click that like button, subscribe, and ride safe.